Yeah.
Do you have a wish list for members of Congress you'd like to have on? Is there anyone in particular that you'd love to have?
Nancy Pelosi.
Really?
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi. I was so much wanted Nancy Pelosi because during the 2006 campaign, I don't know if you guys remember it, but during the 2006 campaign, I know we've all moved on to 2008 at this point. The 2006 campaign, she, in an interview or at a press conference, said, "Oh, I wouldn't recommend anyone go on the show." You know, I hope she meant during the election show. And my character was really upset, and so he's been trying to get her on the show for a long time. And boy, I'd love it. I wanted her to come on so hard that I was considering asking Philip Seymour Hoffman if he would come on and just play Nancy Pelosi. Because he's a good enough actor. I would definitely need to do that. I wanted DeLay when DeLay was still in there, and he wouldn't come on, so we actually just edited together all of his goodbye interviews into a fake interview. And we called it the exclusive fake interview with Tom DeLay. Very candid with me.
So, I'm sorry to drag on these congressional interviews so much, but just one
Not
last
all,
question.
it's what I do.
Who was the most challenging interview, and why were they so challenging?
Barney Frank was the most challenging interview because I really thought he was enjoying himself. I really did. I did the interview with Jeff Cooperman, who was a real news producer for years. She was Stone Phillips' guy forever, which is great for me because Stone Phillips is one of my great models, that manly neck and the, reassuring way of speaking. There were no survivors. We checked. It's sad. And so he'd interviewed members of Congress before, and he'd done tons of stuff, but we sat down it was the second interview I did. Jack Kingston, Republican, turned out to be a great guy and helped us a lot with the other members of Congress. But Barney Frank was second, and I was doing crazy stuff with Barney Frank. And after it's over, he goes, "I can't believe you said those things to Barney Frank." I said, "He was having a great time. Look how dry he was." He goes, "No, he seemed upset." Like, he was playing upset. I know the difference. He absolutely got the joke. I know he was playing along. Don't you think you should have explained to him that you didn't mean what you were saying? Not necessary. I was wrong. I should have explained to him I didn't mean anything I was saying. But I'm honored he called my work sub Three Stooges in the Boston Globe. And if I'm anywhere near the Three Stooges, well, then I've achieved my goal.
So, speaking of people...
Did you have to pay as much as these other people over here? Keep talking.
Okay.
I can hear you.
So, in the... Speaking of guests being cognizant of who you are,
yeah,
it certainly seemed like in the early days of The Daily Show that you were able to score a lot of points because...
No one knew who we were.
People didn't know who you were.
No, they thought I was from CNN.
So...
I never said I was from CNN. I always said I was from The Daily Show. And I would never, it was before it was The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. I was from The Daily Show. And they go, "What is that?" And we had a very specific way that our lawyers told us we had to answer. It was, "I'm from The Daily Show. What's that?" "Well, it's an alternative news show. We do the stories that, other people aren't covering. Fall into the cracks. For instance, you and your belief that orange juice makes you gay." And then you'd say, "Oh, what channel are you on?" And you'd say, "Well, I don't know what channel I'm on here locally. The channel changes from cable market to cable market. Where I am, it's channel 39. But in Manhattan, it's channel 45. Isn't that interesting? Hey, you ever watch the Discovery Channel? I love that Shark Week." And then you try to get them off. But then if they said, "What network are you with?" you had to say, "Well, I'm with Comedy Central." And then they would take the mic off and they would walk away. So, no, at the beginning, for the first few years of The Daily Show, and I was only there for a brief period of time, and then I left for 3 years to do a show called Strangers with Candy. And then some deeply troubled people are here today. The one with the eyebrows shaved off up there. By the time I got back for the 2000 campaign, which was such a wonderful story because it concerned everyone and no one died, and after that, the radar was we were totally above the radar because the show got prominence during that campaign.
But so now everyone knows who you are, and so
pretty much they should. They should if they're talking to me. It's not that hard to find out who I am.
Does it make it more difficult to attract guests, or does it make it easier to attract people?
This is my booker, Emily Lazar. Is it hard to attract guests now that they know who I am? What's most frightening about me? Yeah, is it hard to get people to talk to me? People confuse. I want to answer for her because we speak volumes with our eyes, and we just exchange so much information. People mistake my field pieces for the in-studio guests. And when it's live in studio, that's all real and unedited, and the field is edited. And so I think people are hesitant to come in and talk to me in the studio sometimes because they think it's going to be a field piece, and they also think that those field pieces are like kind of Ali G, ninja assassin pieces, and they're actually fairly gentle, said he.
You mentioned the 2008 campaign, and
yes, yeah.
There's a lot of speculation that perhaps another comedian, Al Franken, might be running for Senate.
Yeah, in Minnesota.
Is there any political future for Stephen Colbert?
That's just something I haven't made up my mind about.
But maybe.
I've got to sit down with my family.
So you're not committed to not running in 2008?
I think we should focus on the people who are running right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, finally, I'd like to talk a little bit about...
Finally? Wow.
We'll go to questions after this. I want to leave plenty of time
I forgot that we're going to talk to the peoples.
Last spring, you were the guest, and you spoke at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
I remember that.
Now, at the time, Steny Hoyer, who has now been elected floor leader for the Democrats, said that you'd gone over the line in criticizing
Steny Hoyer said that?
the president.
Well, then I'd like to interview Steny Hoyer.
But, and in the process, I think it's fair to say that you may have offended a few members of the Washington press. But recently, you've had Jim Lehrer, Dan Rather, and Ted Koppel on your show.
Yeah.
Was there a fallout with the Washington press? And if so, no.
I don't think so.
There wasn't? Okay.
I don't know if I have a fallout with the Washington press. I'm not press. I don't have a relationship with them. I really like the news. I like watching news. I like good news. And I went there to do jokes. And so I don't imagine that I would actually have a falling out with them.
Okay.
Because, I don't... It's something John and I were talking about when we did this interview the other day, was that people assume that there are ramifications for our behavior. But we and John, we have no aspirations toward respectability or acceptance by the powers that be. Because I would love the idea that Steny Hoyer would have actually liked my jokes, but it's not my goal.
So I said that was the last question, but I'm actually going to ask one more. You're very funny.
Thank you.
I've had an opportunity to, interact with you at the lunch, and every time, hilarious. I'm sure at home you're very funny, but when you're out in public, do you feel a lot of pressure to be funny? Do you ever feel as though it's... No. It's just natural.
Well, you're assuming that I'm funny out in public. No, I'm just like anybody else. I'm not on all the time. I was lucky enough to, I'm lucky enough that the show is successful, and I've had a really wonderful time working with John over The Daily Show. But all that happened after I was all grown up and had kids of my own and am hopefully a mildly formed adult. So it doesn't necessarily inform who I am to be a publicly funny person, because I was who I am before that became known to anyone.
Thank you. Sorry, I just want to make sure we're setting up. We'll go ahead and call people to the microphones. We have 4 microphones, 2 on the floor, 2 in the boxes. So please go ahead and line up if you'd like to ask Mr.